If you want your automation to run instantly, not every 15 minutes, webhooks are the solution. Webhooks are one of the most powerful features in make.com. They let apps send data to Make instantly the moment something happens. Today you will learn what a webhook is, how to create one, how to send data to it, and how to test it. Let's go. Webhook basics. A webhook is a URL endpoint that receives data from other applications. It acts as a listener, waiting for HTTP post requests to deliver information the moment an event happens. So think of it like this. When you browse through a website and you are to input some information on the web and you have to submit the information to them, where does this information goes to? It goes to a server that is waiting patiently to receive such information. So now webhook is coming in place as this server waiting patiently to receive data. Instant data transfer. When an event occurs in an external app, such as a new form submission or a payment confirmation, the app sends data to the webhook URL. This instant transfer ensures that your make.com scenario is triggered immediately. So if you connect your automation to a website, this website can send data to the webhook. So the essence of the webhook is to be able to receive data from external platforms. Creating a webhook in make.com is straightforward. You don't need to write any code. Simply set up the webhook and Make will provide you with a unique URL to receive data. This URL is where you are sending this information to. This is just like Make creating a server for you and you are being provided with a URL which you can send data to. Sending data to your webhook. There are different ways you can send data to your webhook. Let's explore the different options. The first option is using Postman. You can send data to your webhook using Postman, a popular API testing tool. Simply configure a post request with the necessary data fields and send it to the webhook URL. Once you are provided with the webhook URL from make.com, you simply use Postman to send data to the URL, which is going to be a post request. Another option is using HTML forms. If you know how to code, you can code an HTML form template. So this form can then send data to your webhook. Create an HTML form on your website and set the webhook URL as the form's action. When the form is submitted, the data will be sent to make.com via the webhook. So this then triggers your automation. API request. Developers can use API requests to send data to the webhook. This method allows for seamless integration with custom applications and third-party services. Script and other apps. Automate data sending with scripts written in languages like Python or JavaScript. Other apps can also be configured to send data to the webhook, ensuring a versatile and flexible setup. Setting up a script allows you to also communicate with your webhook. So this way, you'll be able to send data to the webhook and run your automation as needed. When data is sent to the webhook, the payload is captured. So the payload contains the information that was sent to the webhook. Now, how do you inspect this payload? After sending to your webhook, you open the execution history in make.com to view the captured payload. Here you can see all the fields and values that were sent, ensuring that your data is correctly received. Once the data is sent to your webhook, you can check and see the kind of data that was sent. Also, you can predefine the kind of data you are expecting. So this way you know that you are getting the exact information you need for your workflow. The captured data will be structured as key value pairs. This structure allows you to easily map the data to downstream modules, ensuring that your workflow processes the information accurately. Now, once you have the data, you can now send it to other modules. Mapping data. Once the webhook captures the data, use make.com's drag and drop mapping feature to connect the data fields to the next modules in your workflow. This step ensures that the data flows seamlessly through your automation. We've talked about data mapping. Just the same way we've been mapping data from one module to the other, that's how we are also going to map data received through the webhook to other modules. By using webhooks, your workflow processes data in real time, providing instant updates and notification. This speed is crucial for maintaining efficiency and keeping stakeholders informed. Webhooks allows you to immediately notify a user when they submit a form, giving them a kind of success message like your data has been received. So to make this practical, let's dive into make.com editor and see how we can create webhook. Now we are in the make.com editor. For this scenario, we are going to be following a simple structure. We are going to be creating a scenario that helps us to store order. To enable us achieve that, I created a sheet in my Google spreadsheet. This sheet is storing the information for orders. So the title of the sheet is store orders. Inside this sheet, we are taking note of the name, email, and number of items to be ordered. To start creating our webhook, we are going to start with a webhook trigger. So we click on webhooks. Now here we need to select the appropriate trigger. So the appropriate trigger is custom webhook, which triggers when webhook receives data. So let's click on that. Now we need to create a webhook. Let's click on create a webhook. So we'll provide the name of our webhook. So we are going to say store orders. What's the next thing? Let's click on advanced setting. So under advanced setting, you can create a data structure, but for now we are going to leave it blank so we can explain everything step by step. So get request header, let's get it. So the headers will be added to the request body. So let's click on yes. Get request HTTP method. The HTTP method will be added to the request body. So this is either a get request, a post request, or thereabout. So we are going to click yes. JSON pass-through. If enabled, JSON payloads are returned as a string. We want our data to be returned as a JSON object. So we don't want string. So we want JSON object. So we are going to leave it as no. So we click on save. Now make.com already gave us a unique link to our webhook. So what we just need to do is to copy address to clipboard. So click on copy address to clipboard, then we save. So to test this now, we just need to run this module only. So run this module only. So the webhook is waiting to receive data. Now let's go to Postman. So Postman is a popular platform for API development, testing, and management. So we are going to be using Postman to send data to our webhook URL. So for you to be able to use Postman, all you just need to do is go to your browser and type Postman and download the application. So this will enable you to be able to send data to your webhook URL. So let's paste the URL link here. So this is the webhook URL make.com created for us. So we are going to be sending data to this URL. So to do that, we are going to change the method to post because we are sending data. So that's a post request. So now the data we are sending is going to be in the body. So we click on body. So inside the body, we are going to type out an object which will include key value pairs. To create an object, we are going to use curly braces. Just type curly braces. So we are going to have something like this. Then we can now have key value pairs. So our first entry, the key is going to be name and the value is going to be, let's say, John Doe. So we have this. First, let's send this data to the webhook and see what happens. Send. Accepted. So this means our data has been sent to webhook. Let's see that in make.com. So now we have the data that was sent. So we can see this is the output. The bundle has name, which is John Doe. So this is the headers that was added, the request headers. So these are all the request headers. So this contains a lot of information that can be useful, but we won't dive deep into that for now. So let's leave that. So this is the method, which is post method. So that's how you send data to webhook. Now let's go back to webhook customization. So let's edit this. Advanced. Now for our store data, we are expecting name, email, and number of orders. So to be strict, you can create a data structure that you are expecting. So this way, you know that you are getting exactly what you need to get. Let's click on add data structure. So we can just call it order data. So add item. So the first item we are expecting is the name, which is the name of the client. It is a text, so we don't need a default value. The name is required, so we add another one. So the name here is email. We are expecting the email. So the email, the description, the email of the client. So it is also a text. There is no default value. It is required. So we add item again. This one is number of items. The description is the number of items to be ordered. So this is going to be a number, not a text now. It's going to be a number, and it is also required. So this is the data structure we are expecting. So this ensures that all this information are sent to the webhook. If not, there's going to be an error. So we are going to confirm that. So strict, we want this to be strict because we want to ensure that all these information that are required are sent. So if some are not required, there won't be an issue. So let's say the number of items is not required. If we set the required to no, it means that even if it is not sent, it will be successful. If it is sent, it will be successful as well. But if we set it to required, it means once the number of items is not sent, it's not going to be successful. So let's save this. So we have that. So we save again. Then we save. So let's run this again and see what happens. If we try to send the same data, we wait for new data. So let me click send again. Now, what do we notice? Validation failed for two parameters. Missing value of required parameter email. So we set that the email should be required, but it is missing here. So it flagged it. Missing value of required parameter, number of items. We also said that the number of items should be required, but we didn't send it here, so it flagged it again. So what we need to do to correct this is to pass in the email and number of items. So we put a comma, email, let's say john@gmail.com. Then the number of items. Number of items. Now remember, the number of items is number, not string. If I write 20, this is a string. But once I just write 20, it means I'm sending in numbers. So when I send this now, I see that it's accepted. So we are good. So now we can see that the data has been received. We have the name now, the email, and the number of items. So this is exactly what we wanted. So this is how you structure your data and how you receive data in your webhook. So now what do we do next? If you notice from our postman, whenever the data is sent and is received successfully, we just see this accepted. This is not the usual way it's supposed to run. We are supposed to send a feedback indicating that the data has been received successfully, ensuring that once a user sends data from, let's say, a website, the user is notified that the data has been received successfully. So in order to do that, we are going to include a module. Now, the module we are going to be including now is going to be a webhook module, which is to create a response to the webhook. So let's click on create a response to the webhook. Now the response, when a data is sent to a server, the status is always 200. That is an okay response. So the data was received successfully. Now the body is the kind of message we want to send. Let me just type a message here. Data received successfully. If I save this and I run this scenario once, Let's wait for new data. Once I resend this, I'll be getting the new message that I sent, data received successfully. However, this is not the standard structure. We are supposed to send a JSON object, which is more like the kind of structure we are sending into the server. So the server is to send back a similar structure. So to achieve that, we are going to reconfigure the module. So let's click on this webhook again. So click on advanced setting. Now under the advanced setting, we have to set up the custom headers. So before we start setting up the custom headers, let's look at what custom headers actually mean. Custom headers. Custom headers are extra key value pairs you attach to an HTTP request or webhook response to provide metadata or instructions to the receiving server. So they do not go inside the body, they travel separately with the request. So just think of a custom headers as more information that is being sent to a receiving server. This tells the receiving server how to handle the information. Why headers matter? They are commonly used for authentication, content type definition, API versioning, security, custom app specific logic. These are the use cases for headers. Common headers you are going to see, we have the authorization, which is for API keys and bearer tokens. This authorization is used mostly when you are trying to authenticate a user. That is, you want to be sure that a specific user is who the user claims he is. So we have the content type. This tells the server how to read the body. Is the body a JSON object or is it just a string? Accept tells server what format you want. Are you expecting a JSON object as well, or you are just expecting a string or a text data? User agent, this identifies the client. X API key, this is a custom authentication. X request ID, this is used to track request. So let's look at some examples. Authorization, we have the bearer and access token. This access token is more like a unique value that identify a user. Content type, the value is application JSON. We have accept with a value of application JSON. So this headers tells the server who you are, that is the authorization, how the body is formatted, content type, what response formats you expect, which is the accept in this case. Custom headers are needed when the system you are talking to expects extra instructions besides the body. Think of the headers like the instruction written on the envelope, not the letter inside. So guys, let's dive into make.com to set up the custom headers. Now, what kind of custom header do we want to set here? For we to use authorization, it means we are expecting that a user sending a data should be a logged in user. That's when authentication comes in, because you want to verify that the user is actually who the user is. So, but in this case now, since we are trying to give a response back to a user sending in data to us, we need to just set up the content type, and the content type should be a JSON content. So we are going to click on add item. Now, the key is content type, content, then hyphen type. So, and the value is application slash JSON space. Now we have that. So the next thing to do is to write a proper body. So to do that, we are going to write an object, which is using the curly braces. We close it, bring it down. So what do we want to send? We are going to have the key value pairs like we did in Postman. So the key here is going to be status. Then let's say the value is going to be received, or let's say successful. Then we are going to pass in a message. So this is the message that will be shown to the user. So, and the value is going to be data. Okay, your order has been received. So this is a simple message that can be sent. So now we can save this. Let's run this scenario once again. We'll wait for new data to be sent. Let's go back to Postman now to test again. Let's send this. Now you can see we are receiving a much more structured response. Status successful, message your order has been received. So that's exactly what we're shooting for. Now to finalize our scenario, we need to add a Google Sheet module which will enable us to update our order list to keep track of the kind of orders that are coming in. So let's click on this plus sign to add a new module. So we are adding a Google Sheet. Let's click on Google Sheet. So for a Google Sheet, we want to add a new row. We click on add a new row. So we add your connection, then search method is search by path. We are using my drive. Spreadsheet ID, we click on choose file. So I'm using this spreadsheet. Now the spreadsheet name is store orders. Store orders, so I click on store orders. Table contains headers, yes, because we have name, email, and number of items. So for the name, we are going to pass in the name, drag and drop. For the email, we pass in the email, drag and drop. Then number of items, we pass in the number of items, drag and drop. So that is data mapping in action. So we are done with that. We click on save. Now for the final testing, we run this scenario again. Run once. So this time we can just decide to use the existing data. Let's use the existing data and say, so we had a warning here. Let's see the warning. Warning, response can't be processed when scenario is not executed immediately on data arrival. Okay, so this is because we are expected to send a response back to the user, but because we are running this with the already available data we had, so that's why we got this error. So if you had clicked on wait for a new data, it wouldn't have happened. So that's just the error. So we are going to do this again, but first let's see the data in the spreadsheet. So now we can see johndoe@email.com and the number of items is 20. So let's try this again. Run once. We are waiting for new data. So click on wait for new data. So let's change the name to Gabriel James. So we can have Gabriel@gmail.com. The number of items should be, let's say, 16. So let's have that. So we can send this now. Successful, your order has been received. So everything works perfectly. So if we go back to the spreadsheet, we're going to see the information Gabriel James, Gabriel@gmail.com, number of items 16, and that is exactly what we are shooting for. So guys, that's how you make use of webhook in make.com. So the idea remains the same. You set up your webhook, you receive data with the webhook, and you use this data through your scenario. Now you know how to use webhooks. In the next video, we will talk about scheduling and advanced scenario controls. So guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.